Hello and welcome students. We are into the 17th video lecture of the lecture series made on the subject Mechanics of Solid, whose subject code is ME201, and the topic which I am going to teach you today is Mohr circle of stresses. I am Shri Krishna Mishra, Assistant Professor in the Department of Mechanical Engineering, Suresh Gyan Vihar University, Jaipur. So let's first of all see what are the objectives of today's lecture. The objectives of today's lecture are, first is we are going to understand the graphical method of finding the stresses on an oblique plane. Basically, in the previous lecture, student, if you will go into the my previous videos, lecture number 13 and lecture number 14, you will see that I have taught you the analytical method of finding the stresses on an oblique plane. For example, if this is a body of unit thickness, if this is a bar or body of unit thickness, all right, and you have to find a stress along this plane which is inclined at an angle theta, and you have been given in the question stress acting along this direction. All right, this is a case of uniaxial loading. So in such cases, as I have told you, that an analytical method of finding the value of stress along this oblique plane, let the name of this oblique plane be AB. So I have told you how we find the stress acting along this oblique plane. There can be two stresses. One is the normal stress, to which we denote by sigma n or sigma theta. So we have a formula for calculating sigma theta, and we have also one stress which is parallel, which is along this plane AB, all right, which is denoted by tau theta. All right, so we have first of all generated a formula for calculating sigma theta and tau theta. And then after, students, we have solved some numericals. We have considered all the cases. First of all, our first case was what? Our first case was the case dealing with, our first case, student, was the case that was dealing with uniaxial loading. The second case was dealing with biaxial loading. For this also we have generated the formula. Then the third case was with biaxial. We were having shear stress. Shear stress. And since there is shear stress, I have told to you always, whenever there is a shear stress, always a complementary shear stress is developed. Complementary shear stress is also developed. All right, so this case also we have discussed. So our last case, which was important, and the formula was also a bit lengthy, that particular case was the case of complex stresses. So what was complex stresses? In the case of complex stress, student, generally you have biaxial loading as well as one shear stress acting on the same material, on the same body. All right, like in this way. In this, you are having a stress along x-axis. Let's represent it by sigma x, and you also have a stress along y-axis. Let's represent it by sigma y. So this becomes the case of biaxial loading. Now, along with it, if you also have one shear stress acting along any plane, for example, if the plane is along x-axis and in y direction. So if the plane is along x-axis but in y direction, so that is known as tau xy. So if you have such type of case in which you are having a shear stress as well as biaxial loading, such cases are known as complex stresses. And we have, through analytical method, we have solved such questions which were based on this particular complex stresses. One more thing that I have told to you was that whenever there is some shear stress acting along any plane, then opposite to it, by the principle of shear stress, I have told to you that to balance it, happens to balance it, opposite shear stress is developed. To balance it, opposite shear stress is developed. Opposite means if the nature of applied shear stress is clockwise, as you can see in the green arrow I have showed you, I have tried to explain to you. So opposite to it, direction opposite to it means in this direction. Through yellow line, if it is visible, then see through yellow line I have represented that this stress which is opposite to the direction of the applied shear stress. This is known as your complementary shear stress. So such cases, students, we have discussed, but we have discussed with the help of analytical method only. But today we will solve such questions which are having shear stress, which are having normal stresses along two directions, means the cases of biaxial loading. So such cases we are going to discuss with the help of graphical method now. We are going to discuss with the help of graphical method. All right, we will try to calculate the value of stress acting along this inclined plane, stress acting along the inclined plane AB, all right, with the help of a circle, which is known as a Mohr circle, which is known as your Mohr circle, which is known as your Mohr circle, students. We are going to draw this Mohr circle. We will learn the method of drawing Mohr circle. We will learn the method of drawing the Mohr circle. And after, we will solve numericals based on finding the value of principal stresses by drawing the Mohr circle. Apart from finding the stress on an oblique plane, we will also try to find out the principal stresses. Principal stresses, students. I have told you principal stresses are the stresses on a plane which is only having the value of normal stresses. There is no shear stress acting on that plane. For example, if this is the body and if this is the principal plane, which I am highlighting with a blue color, this means that this is blue color plane will not have any shear stress. Means the component which we used to draw, in this way, where this component tau will be equal to 0 if this plane is principal plane. All right, and there will be only normal stress, along this plane. So the value of this normal stress can be one maximum and one minimum. Therefore we say there are two planes which are mutually perpendicular to each other, and these planes have their shear stress value 0. Means if this is the one of the plane which is highlighted in blue color, then there will be one more plane which will be perpendicular to this plane, that will be having shear stress value 0. Tau will be 0 in both these planes. So one correlation which we have taken out is that always the principal planes are mutually perpendicular to each other. In the case of uniaxial loading, you will get two principal planes, and the value of normal stresses along these principal planes is your principal stress. The one which is having the maximum value, students, that will be the major principal, and the one which is having the minimum shear stress value will be known as the minor principal stress. All right. So we are going to calculate the principal stress also with the help of Mohr circle. Then apart from that, we will also find the plane of maximum shear stress. Now, since we have calculated the plane of normal stress, means the stress we have calculated the plane where shear stress value is 0, then there will also be a plane where the shear stress value is maximum. So we will find the position of that plane, where it lies. The plane of maximum shear stress means tau value is maximum. Tau value is 0 in the case of principal planes, and tau value is maximum, shear stress value is maximum. So at a maximum shear stress plane, so those plane we are going to find where it is. It is here, is it here, is it here? What is the position of that plane? We are going to see. So these were the objectives. Now we are going into the discussion part. As I have told you, students, these are the two methods. One is the analytical method already discussed, and the second is the graphical method that I am going to teach you today. These are the two methods. One is the analytical method, and second is the graphical method of finding the stress on an oblique section of a strained body. All right. So in this section, we are going to find the stress through the graphical method. Moving further. Stress on an oblique section of a body subjected to direct stress in two mutually perpendicular directions accompanied by simple shear. This last case of uh, the problems regarding shear stress, in these cases we have seen that there is biaxial loading as well as shear stress. So in such cases we have seen how we used to calculate. In such cases we have seen, students, how we used to calculate the stress. This is the diagram which is generally drawn in short in order to explain this situation of stresses. All right. In this diagram, you can see these are the values to be calculated, and these are the values of the stresses and shear stresses acting along different planes. So we have seen, students, that through analytical method, these are the two formulas which were used. First, the normal stress is calculated by this formula. All right. Sigma and normal stress acting along this plane AB, normal stress acting along this plane AB is calculated by this formula. All right. And shear stress, or in other words, we can say tangential stress along this inclined plane AB, this tangential stress, this can also be calculated. By this formula. Through this, we can calculate the shear stress. All right. So this was the analytical method already discussed. Now moving further. Now in the graphical methods, we are going to draw the Mohr circle. Now, how it is drawn, let me tell you. The construction of Mohr circle of stresses as well as determination of normal shear and resultant stress is very easy in this Mohr circle as compared to analytical method. You will see when I will teach you how to draw the Mohr circle, students, you will find that the construction of Mohr circle and calculation of normal shear and resultant stress through this Mohr circle is very easy. All right. And this construction of Mohr circle itself means that you are using the graphical method. In this, you will have to take a scale, students. You will have to take a scale and you will have to take a pencil. And through that, you will have to draw the diagram. So let's see. Moving further. One more plus point with the Mohr circle is that there is very little chance of committing any error in this method. There is very little chance of committing any error in this particular method. So 2 plus points are: one, it is an easier method as compared to analytical method, and the second is there is very little chance of error in this method. So let's see. The cases which we are going to discuss, students, are these cases. Some of the cases I will discuss in today's video lecture, and the remaining cases we will discuss in the coming video lecture. So what are the cases? The first cases, these are all the cases, students. The first case is the body is subjected to direct stress only in one plane. As I have told you, this is the case of uniaxial loading. In which you have stress only in one direction. Second case is a body is subjected to direct stress in two mutually perpendicular directions. So in the second case, you will have loading along two directions, one along x direction and the other along y direction. You can have this type of case, biaxial loading. All right. The third is a body is subjected to simple shear. The third case is the body is subjected to simple shear. Means if this is the body, then there is only shear stress which is acting along the plane. Simple shear. No biaxial loading or uniaxial loading is there. Only shear stress is acting. And in the fourth case, what is the fourth case? A body is subjected to direct stress in one plane accompanied by simple shear stress. So in the fourth case is basically a combination of students, a combination of first one and the third one. All right. Coming into the fifth case. Fifth case is a body subjected to direct stresses in two mutually perpendicular directions accompanied by a simple shear. Means fifth case is a combination. Students, fifth case is a combination, we can say, of this second case, biaxial loading, this case, and this third case, simple shear case. So these are the cases which we are going to discuss. We will start with the simple case, a starting case. First of all, there are some sign conventions, students. These sign conventions are important before we go into drawing of Mohr circle. What are these sign conventions? Though there are different sign conventions, students, used in different books for graphical method, means if you open any book, if you have two books in your hand, you will find that the sign conventions used in both of these books can differ from each other. And therefore, whatever I am taking sign convention, I will use this sign convention in my drawing. So what are the sign convention that I am going to take? See, first of all, the first sign convention is that the angle is taken with reference to x-axis. Whatever angle we will take, the reference of that particular angle will be x-axis. Means if this is x-axis, students, all angle whichever I will, whichever is given, or whichever I will note, that all will be with respect to x-axis. Those in the clockwise direction will be considered as positive, and those going in the anti-clockwise direction in this way will be considered as negative. So the angles which are shown in clockwise direction, they will be taken as positive. Angles in the anti-clockwise direction will be taken as negative, and the reference axis from where these angles are taken, that reference axis will be x-axis. All right. So this is the sign convention for the angle clockwise as positive and anti-clockwise as negative, students. Negative. Then if there is nothing given in the question about the angle theta, we will consider it as positive. If in the numerical you don't find any clockwise or anti-clockwise sense of the angle, then you will consider theta value as positive. Positive means you will consider it as clockwise. Then for the tensile and shear stresses, the sign convention which you will take are for biaxial loading. When you will show the tensile and shear stresses, the sign convention you will take are the tensile forces, means they are considered as positive, and they will be drawn above the x-axis. They will be drawn above the x-axis, students. All the tensile forces, if the value is given of the tensile forces, we will take positive. And if the forces are compressive, so we generally take the compressive forces with a negative sign. So all the negative forces, means compressive forces, will be taken downwards. All right. These are for shear stresses. This keep in mind these values above the x-axis and below the x-axis. This is for tau. This is for tau shear stresses, and this is for shear stresses, students. And for normal stresses, means sigma. The values sigma, for values which are positive, means tensile will be taken in the left side and compressive will be taken on the right hand side. When I will solve the numerical, you will get the understanding of what are these sign conventions and how they are used. The measurement above x-axis and to the right of the x-axis are taken as positive. See, students, the measurement above x-axis means as you draw a graph, how you draw? First of all, you make a line in this direction and you make a line in this direction. These two directions will be considered as positive, and the values which are negative, means if the values are compressive, if the load is compressive, we will draw in the backward direction, means in the negative direction. This is considered as negative portion. This is considered as positive portion. Similarly, upward side positive and downward side negative. This is the convention. Now, how we will draw? We are taking the first case, first simple case, in which you are only having, this normal stress, and that also in only one direction. And you are asked students to calculate the stresses along any inclined plane AB, which is inclined at an angle of theta with the horizontal direction. Generally, this diagram we don't draw. In short, we draw this diagram, a triangular diagram, in which this is the plane in which we have to calculate the stress, and the plane along the shear stress along this AC plane, that is given to you as sigma. You have to calculate sigma n and tau, students. So basically, what we do, how we solve it, let me tell you now. See, students, first of all, what we will do, this is an open space. Let me draw here. First of all, we will draw a vertical and a horizontal line. We will draw a vertical and a horizontal line. This is the vertical line and this is the horizontal line. All right. And this name of this particular point will be given as O. Now, from this point O, the value of the stress which is given to you, from this point O, the value of the normal stress which is given to you, let me first of all see the question and keep these values in mind. Here there is no value given, only the sigma is given to you. So what we will do, students, again I am drawing first of all a vertical line as I have told you, then a horizontal line like this. This point, this particular point will be named as O point, and then after whatever is the value of sigma, if the value of sigma is for example 100 megapascal, so first of all you will have to take a scale. First of all, what you will have to do, you will have to take a scale. Why you will have to take a scale? Because this is the graphical method, and in graphical method, students, some scale has to be taken, that your 1 centimeter represent how much stress. So if your 1 centimeter represent 10 Newton per mm square, this much stress, this means that if you are drawing a 10 centimeter line, that will represent 100 Newton, that will represent 100 Newton per mm square. All right. So this is the convention which is taken. So first of all, a scale is taken, and if 100 Newton per mm square is the stress sigma value, you will take 10 centimeter. You will draw 10 centimeter line. How you will draw? From this point O, you will take a scale and you will draw 10 centimeter line. Wherever it will intersect, you will draw a point like this. All right, and you can name this point. You can name this point any name you can take. If you want to take some common, just name it as J. All right, now OJ, you have to find the center point of this OJ. You have to find the middle center point of this OJ. How you will find the center point? See, the center point of this OJ, half of this length. It means if this is 10 centimeter length, so in between 5 centimeter point, you will have to mark. And from this point, you will have to draw a circle taking radius. You will have to draw the circle taking radius this much. This much should be the radius. If the center you are taking of this particular SQ, all right. If for example Q is the center, so you will take a rounder now. You will place it at this point Q. You will take the radius OQ and you will draw the circle. You will draw the circle, students. You will draw the circle. In this way, you will draw the circle. All right. How? Let me draw the circle. No, not like this. Exactly, it should come here. From this point we need, no? So from this point, how you will make it? Let me draw. It is not coming exactly. So basically, this is the diagram which I am making you explain, which I am explaining you this. What we have done, we have drawn a vertical line, students. We have drawn a vertical line. All right, from this point O, we have drawn a horizontal line like this. Then what we have done, we have taken the length equal to the stress value given. If the stress value is 100, so the scale, if you are taking 1 centimeter, is equal to 10 Newton per mm square. So the stress value of 100 megapascal will be denoted by 10 centimeter line, and you will mark this point J. You will mark this point J. All right. So OJ is the length which represents this. OJ is the length, students. This OJ is the length which represents your value sigma. All right. So this is the first step. Now after this, you will have to find the center of this line OJ. You will have to find the center of this line OJ. Center is, for example, C. You will have to first of all point that center. So if the center is C, then from this C point, you will have to draw the circle. From this C point, you will have to draw the circle as you are seeing here. The circle is drawn. Now circle will pass through point O. Circle will pass through point O, students. All right. In this way, you can see the circle is drawn here. This is the circle. This is the circle, students. All right. And after drawing the circle, now the angle which is given to you, first of all, you will have to sense that the sign convention which has been told to you is that if this is the x-axis axis, then what is the sense of rotation of this particular angle theta? This is clockwise, and clockwise is taken as positive. So here also, from this point C, from this center point C, and this axis x-axis, what we will do, we will take its twice value. We will take the double value of this given theta value. If the angle, if the angle on which if the angle of the plane, if the angle of the plane on which you have to calculate the normal stress, if that is given to you as theta, on Mohr circle you will take its double value. On Mohr circle you will take its double value, means you will take 2 theta. If the angle of the inclined plane is theta, then on Mohr circle that angle we will represent by 2 theta. All right. So by we will take a protractor. We will, through protractor, we will trace the angle equal to 2 theta. For example, the theta value given to us, the angle of the inclined plane given to us is 30 degree. Then here we will take equal to 60 degree, students. If the theta given to us is equal to 30 degree, then in that case here the angle which we will take, students, will be equal to how much? It will be equal to 60 degree. All right, this thing I am telling to you. Then after taking this 2 theta value, now what you will do, you will draw a line. You will draw a line from this C in this way. You will draw a line C, from C, this CP. You will draw this line CP in this way. And what is this P point? This is the intersection of this line which you are drawing CP with the circle already drawn. All right. And now this P point, now our Mohr circle is completed. The value of sigma n and tau which is needed here, the value of sigma n and tau which is needed here will be calculated. Now from what? We will take the scale. First of all, we will draw a perpendicular from this P line. We will draw a perpendicular from this P line to this x-axis axis. All right. And whatever will be the length, of this particular line, this particular length will give us, the value of shear stress tau on the inclined plane AB. Shear stress tau on the inclined plane AB. And this value of this, now when you will measure this distance from O to Q, this distance, students, this from here to here, this distance will give you the value of sigma which you have to calculate, sigma n. This particular value which you have to calculate, you measure the distance from this point O to this point Q. So this OQ will give you the value of sigma n. Sigma n and tau. In this way you can calculate, students. So you can see how easy is it to calculate the value of sigma and tau with the help of Mohr circle. This circle which you have made, this circle is known as Mohr circle, students. This circle is known as your Mohr circle. All right. So I hope you have understood what we have done. In short, I am going to brief it. First of all, we have drawn a vertical line like this. Then we have drawn a horizontal line like this. Then what we have done, we have marked this point as O, and then we have measured the value of sigma. We have taken the scale now. What we have done, we have taken the scale now. We have taken basically a scale, students. And after taking the scale, we have marked the distance equal to stress. Whatever is the stress value, we have converted it into centimeter, and that particular length we have to represent from this point O to particular, let's say, point J. This will represent the value sigma. All right, OJ is basically your sigma, students. Then after we have found it's a center. We have found its center. This is its center, students. Then by keeping rounder in the center, and radius OC, we have drawn the circle. We have drawn the circle, students, in this way. Circle is not coming exactly of the same shape. In this way, we have drawn the circle, and from this C point, now the angle which is given in the question, now the whatever is the angle given in the question of the inclined plane, we will take its twice value, all right, and we will mark a angle with the help of protractor. We will mark angle with the help of protractor in this way. Wherever it will strike, intersect the circle, that point will we will mark as at P. And now we will draw a perpendicular from this point P. The length of this perpendicular means from P to, for example, let's say this is Q. This length of this PQ will give you the value of tau, and this OQ will give you the value of sigma theta and tau theta, sigma n or tau n, whatever you feel like you can say. And the resultant, we also know that we have to calculate the resultant of these sigma theta and tau theta. So the resultant is represented by line joining. This is line joining O to P. Line joining O to P. This OP is going to give you the value of resultant, to which we write as sigma r. All right. This is sigma r, students. This is what? This is sigma r. Resultant, as I have told you, after calculating student sigma theta and tau theta, resultant is calculated. If it is in this direction, it is represented by sigma r, and the angle is known as angle of obliquity. The angle between the angle phi, which I have represented by alphabet phi, this angle phi is known as the angle of obliquity, and it is the angle between sigma n and sigma r. So this was the first case. It was an easy case. There was only a uniaxial loading that was acting on it. Now one more case we will discuss, and that will be if there is along with the uniaxial loading, you also have a biaxial loading. Means the loading is along the two directions. You have a sigma x as well as sigma y. All right. So in such cases, what we will do? Let's see. This method of this method we have discussed, students. One more thing is there. If the load is compressive load, so in that cases also we can draw. And after moving further, we let's discuss the case of biaxial loading, means load along the two directions in this way. So in such cases, if we have to calculate the normal stress and shear stress acting along any inclined plane AB, all right, through Mohr circle, what we will do? First of all, see students, we are going to start with the same manner as in the previous case we have done. How? Same manner means how? Same manner means first of all, students, we will draw a vertical line. We will draw a vertical line like this. We will draw a horizontal line like this. We will mark a point. By O, origin point. Let this point be origin point. And now whatever is the value of sigma x, we will convert it with the help of a scale. We will take a scale, students. Scale will by how scale means that, as I have told to you, scale means your 1 centimeter represents how much? Your 1 centimeter of your page, whatever line you are putting on this. 1 centimeter represents how much? If you are taking 1 centimeter is equal to 5 Newton per mm square, so you will have to convert your value given in the question in the same manner. Means in the same manner, if the value is 25 Newton per mm square, sigma x, 25 Newton per mm square, this is the value of sigma x. This will be equal to 25 divided by 5, means 5 centimeter line you will have to draw. All right. And if sigma y is given to you as 10, Newton per mm square, it will be equal to how much? It will be equal to, divided by 5, 10 divided by 5, it will be equal to 2 centimeter. All right. So by taking this, first of all, you take sigma x value and mark a point, measure from this point O and mark it here. Let this point be J. let this point be J. All right. Then again from this point O, first of all, let me write it. This value, which I have told to you from here to here, students, this is your basically your sigma x. All right. Then sigma again from point O, you measure the distance equal to 2 centimeter, means 10 Newton per mm square, means sigma y value. The value of sigma y from this point O you measure and mark here. For example, this is, let this name of this point be K, and this particular length which you have taken from OK, this was basically what? This was your sigma y. All right, now you will have to find a center. Now you will have to find the center of this. Now you will have to find the center point of this line, KJ. And if the center point is this, if this is the center point, name it by C. Name it by C. All right. Now from taking center as C and radius equal to KC, taking center as C and radius equal to how much? Radius equal to KC, draw the circle. We will draw the circle now. We will draw the circle. In this way, we will draw the circle, students. All right. Again, if the angle of the inclined plane, if the angle of the inclined plane is theta, and that too in the clockwise direction. So here also we will take the angle, but not theta, we will take 2 theta. Means from this point C, we will take an angle equal to 2 theta, and we will draw a line. We will draw a line in this way. All right, and this point we will denote it by P. Now joining this O to P, first of all, drawing the perpendicular line from this P, the perpendicular line from this P means how? In this way. This line will give you this line P, and let this point be Q. This PQ is giving you the value of tau theta. Means in the vertical direction, the values are showing you tau theta value. And the value in the horizontal direction means this value from here to here. This is giving you the value of sigma theta, which is asked in the question. And if you have to find the resultant of this sigma theta and tau theta, then you will have to join. Student P with this O. Joining this P with this O will give you the value of this resultant, sigma r. And the angle of the resultant you can find by this angle. You just measure this angle. This angle is your phi, means angle of obliquity. So in this way, you can calculate. In this way, you can calculate the value. In this way, student, you can calculate the value of sigma theta, tau theta, and as well as angle of obliquity. All right, this is the diagram which I have tried to make and explain you. First of all, the same manner which I have done. First of all, what we have done, we have drawn a vertical line. All right, then we have made a point here, this C point, and the distance of this C point from O is your, sorry, we have made this J point, and the distance of this J from this point O is my sigma x. All right, then again we have made one more point K, and the distance of this K from this point O is sigma y. Then after what we have done, we have found the center point of this KJ. We have found the center point of this KJ. Where it is at C. And now taking now what we will do, we will take the angle given is theta, so we will take 2 theta angle in this clockwise direction, and we will draw a line. In this way. The point which we will get in this circle, that point is known as point P, and when we will draw a straight line, draw a straight vertical perpendicular line from this P on this x-axis, from this P on this x-axis, this PQ will represent the value of tau theta. This PQ will represent the value of tau theta, and this distance from here to here, this will give you the value of sigma theta. And resultant, how we will calculate the resultant? Resultant will be given by when you will join this O with this P, this will give you the value of resultant. All right, I hope this is now understood to you. Now with the help of a numerical, we will try to understand it. This is the question. This type of questions are asked. So first of all, read out this question. What is the question saying to you? The stress at a point of a machine component are 150 megapascal and 50 megapascal. Both are tensile. All right. Find the intensity of 150 and 50 are the tensile forces which are acting on the two directions. So what we will do, we will draw a small triangle like this way. And in two directions, we will show the value 50 and 150. Directions are outwards. Why? Because the force is tensile. And now we have to calculate the normal stress, shear stress, and resultant stress on a plane at an angle of 55 degree. So the angle of the plane is 55 degree, means this is also given to you as 55. What you have to do, you have to find the maximum shear stress plane. So we will have to draw first of all a Mohr circle. How we will draw? The same manner which I have told to you. We will take an origin point. From this we will take a distance equal to your sigma x, means major value. Then we will take a point k equal to sigma y. This OK distance will be equal to sigma y 50. First of all, you will take a scale. Your scale, if is equal to 1 centimeter, is equal to 1 centimeter is equal to 10 Newton per mm square. So in that manner, your sigma x, your sigma x become equal to 5 centimeter, and sigma x become equal to 15 centimeter. This sigma x, this is your 15 centimeter. All right. And this sigma y, this will be equal to 5 centimeter. Take these values and draw now. So OK, OJ, both you have drawn. You have found its center. Through this center, you have drawn the circle in this way. All right. Now you will have to take the double value of the angle given. The angle given to you is in clockwise direction, and that the value is theta 55 degrees. So double 2 theta value we will take. 2 theta means 55 into 2, 110 degree, and it will be equal to this much. This much angle you will take, and you will draw a line CP. You will draw a line CP in this way. Now drawing the perpendicular line from this P to this XX, this will give you the value of tau. All right. And the line from this, the distance from this Q to this O, this will give you the value of sigma theta. And the line joining this P with this O, this will give you the value of resultant. So this was an easy question, and this angle will give you angle of obliquity. But still the question which is asked in the numerical is not completed. They are asking you the maximum shear stress. See, one thing always keep in mind, that the maximum shear stress in the case of Mohr circle is given by the radius of the Mohr circle. Radius of the Mohr circle gives you the value of maximum shear stress. All right. So here, how you will calculate? You will measure the radius of this. How you will measure the radius? This distance from C to M. This particular distance from C to M. You measure this. This is the radius, and this will be equal to the maximum shear stress. All right. All the vertical values represent shear stress, and the normal values represent the direct stress, sigma x. So tau value, when you will get maximum? When you will get at the center, then you will get full radius as the vertical value. So this radius gives you the maximum value of shear stresses. Now we will solve some multiple choice question in order to gain the whether we have got the understanding or not. So coming into MCQs now, students. First multiple choice question, what the question is saying to you, the Mohr circle represents, there are 4 options in here. The Mohr circle represents the endurance limit to fatigue failure, option A, the state of stress at a point on an oblique plane, option B, C, the area of multiple circles, and D, the lattice planes of the crystals. So we all know the Mohr circle, it basically deals with the stress. It deals with the stress at a point on an oblique plane. So option B is the correct option of first MCQ. Option B is the correct option of first MCQ. Coming into the next multiple choice question number 2. The radius of Mohr circle is equal to, now the radius of Mohr circle, as I have told to you, it gives you the maximum value of shear stress. Just now I have told to you before completing my video lecture, maximum shear stress gives you the radius of the Mohr circle gives you the value of maximum shear stress. So B is the correct option. Moving further, an angle theta in the physical element is represented by, so now the angle theta in the physical element in Mohr circle, this theta is represented by 2 theta. All right, so option A is the correct option. Coming into the MCQ number 4, the x and y axis of Mohr circle represents. So you all know the x axis of Mohr circle and y axis of Mohr circle. X axis represents sigma value and y axis represents the tau value. All right, sigma and tau. X axis and y axis represent sigma and tau value. All right. So here the normal stress and shear stress. Option A is the correct option, that x and y axis of Mohr circle represent the normal stress and shear stress. Moving further, option A is the correct option for question number 4. Coming into MCQ number 5, the point of intersection of the Mohr circle on x-axis represents principal normal stress because the shear stress at this point is 0. So is it correct? The point of intersection of Mohr circle on x-axis represents the principal normal stress. Yes, it is correct. If I will tell you later on in the coming video lecture, in the next video lecture, that the point where the Mohr circle, intersect the x-axis. All right, these two points, this and this point, these represents the principal stresses, because as you can see, at these points there is no shear stress because they are lying on the x-axis. Shear stress is basically the line y axis gives you the value of shear stress. So at these 2 points, student, this point and this point, at these 2 points there is no value of shear stress. So these are principal planes. So this option is, this line is correct. So this is true. Now coming into the next MCQ, which of the following most represent the condition of pure shear? So pure shear means there is no direct stresses acting. There is no normal stresses sigma acting. So where you can see the here in the diagram, you can see the pure shear stress means this is the case of pure shear stress. All right, because there is no normal stresses acting. This you always keep in mind. This circle drawn from this origin point O, this Mohr circle will represent the case of pure shear. Option A is the correct option. Coming into the next MCQ number 7, the extremities of any diameter on Mohr circle represents the extreme points of diameter of Mohr circle. Just now I have told you they represent the principal stresses. The extremities students of the Mohr circle on x-axis, they represent student what? They represent the principal stresses. Question number 8, in two-dimensional stress system, if there is two-dimensional stress system, then obviously we will have two principal planes. Coming into the next multiple choice question, the maximum shear stress is, what is the maximum shear stress? It is equal to the radius of the Mohr circle. I have told you students, if this is the Mohr circle, and this then the radius of the Mohr circle, will give you the radius of the Mohr circle from here to here. This radius will give you the value of maximum shear stress. All right, so option C is the correct option. Coming into the last multiple choice question, maximum shear stress is equal to half of the Mohr circle. Is it true? Maximum shear stress is equal to half diameter of Mohr circle? Yes, obviously correct, because from MCQ number 9, you can see if the radius of the Mohr circle gives you the value of the maximum shear stress, obviously radius is what? Radius is half of the diameter. So half of the diameter will give you the value of Mohr circle. Yes, it is correct. It will give you the value of maximum shear stress. So I hope all the MCQ I have completed, and for your reference, you can use any of the references which is given in the slide. You can use any of this for your numericals, for more numericals, for solving more numericals. You can use any of the books which are given in this slide. So students, that's enough for today. In the coming video lecture, we will discuss the more cases. Thank you, students. Thank you, and have a nice day.